DFS community. Welcome into the Week 10 edition of one of the most accurate DFS shows in the industry. This is episode number 90 of the Adjusted Line Play Report, where we take a deep dive into the play in the trenches to determine game script and player outcomes. This show is presented by Zilla Fantasy Elite. I'm your host, Todd Hoffman. You can find myself over on Twitter or X at Todzilla1337. And you can find Zilla Fantasy Elite over on Twitter at Zilla Fantasy. All right, folks, so a little bit different here. Obviously, you don't see me on the screen. Just trying to get a quick show in for you here. I got some stuff going on this weekend, so I'm actually heading out, recording this Friday morning, and then heading out the door to be out of town for the weekend. So I want to make sure I got you guys some info in here. We're not going to go super in-depth. We're just going to go over these matchups, go over the Vegas line total, and actually I'm going to just go from morning, early games, afternoon games, and then the Sunday night, Monday night game. I'm not going to go based on the Vegas game total, but we will start here with the Berlin game. Like I said, we're not going to get too in-depth, but we will at least give you what the matchups look like and how we expect that game to go. So, Berlin game, there is an early one. Watch out for that. Make sure your lineups are set maybe ahead of time if you are on the west coast of the United States, whatever the case may be. Take that into consideration. We have Atlanta and Indianapolis over there. Indy technically the home team, and they are 6.5 point favorites over there on a 48.5 Vegas game total. If you're playing an island game, this 48.5 is pretty high up there. In a scenario like that, I'm typically looking at every single player in my lineup being an offensive player of some sort, not kickers and not defenses, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So Indianapolis 27.5 team implied total, Atlanta 21 for their team implied total. Looking at the Atlanta side, offensive pass protection, number 6, Indianapolis number 23 in that pass rush. Would expect Atlanta to have some time to throw here against Indianapolis. And then getting into that pass DVOA, we see Atlanta at 21 and Indianapolis at number 13. Just tells me, hey, Atlanta should have some time to throw, but they might be behind the ball a little bit in terms of being explosive on their pass game play. It does look like Indianapolis a little bit better there. They do have Sauce Gardner that they traded for, so that should make them a little bit better as well. And then the run game, not looking too great there. Atlanta 27 in run blocking, Indianapolis number 6 in stopping the run. And then Atlanta 21st in run DVOA, Indianapolis on defense number 11. Telling me Atlanta probably going to struggle moving the ball on the ground. They'll have time to throw the ball, but they're not going to be super explosive in the pass game. The pass game is the better of the two options, so keep that in mind. Probably a healthier game if they got time to throw the ball. Probably more for somebody like Drake London or those top targets who are usually the first or second read. Should have some time to get to those guys in this matchup, but don't expect them to be super explosive, and I would expect Bijan Robinson to not have a very good game here against Indianapolis. On the Indianapolis side for offense, they are number 2 in pass protection, but Atlanta number 6 in the pass rush. I'd expect them to be able to get after Daniel Jones a little bit more than he has been used to this season. Saw last week we kind of crumbled under pressure when that happened. Did not look very good last week, but kind of an anomaly compared to the rest of the season. We'll see what happens here. Atlanta's pass defense has been really, really good. Pass DVOA, Indianapolis number 5, Atlanta number 5. That's even up. Usually we say studs eat. I don't know. Indianapolis doesn't necessarily have one of those on offense, but looks like an even up matchup. I'd just expect Indianapolis's pass game to be a little bit worse than they've otherwise been so far this season because Atlanta's defense is so good there. The run game, though, looks very, very juicy. Indianapolis number 4 in run blocking. Atlanta 31st. The red-green matchup there in the favor of the offense. And then Indianapolis number 2 in run DVOA. Atlanta 24th. This is a game telling me, hey, Indianapolis, pass game's kind of even up. Run game looks very, very good. I'd expect Jonathan Taylor to have a massive game here. Bijan Robinson probably struggles. Atlanta moves the ball via the air, and that's how this game's going to go. If you're looking at an island game matchup, kind of take that route. I'd have JT in my captain spot for sure. Grab a couple Indianapolis pass catchers, a couple Atlanta pass catchers probably, and go from there. and hope for the best. So yeah, based off of this, Atlanta, I think, they're probably going to be kicking a lot of field goals. If you want to get the Atlanta kicker in there as a cheap option, I think that's also a viable thing here, even with the Vegas game total 48.5. All right, and as I mentioned, I'm just going to go through the early games and the afternoon games, or the late games, and then the Sunday night, Monday night football. So we got Cleveland heading into New York on a 37.5 Vegas game total. It's number 10 on the main slate, I believe. There's either 10 or 11 games, so really low total here, 37.5. Cleveland actually 2-point road favorites here, and favorites with a 19.75 team implied total. That gives the Jets a 17.75 team implied total, 15th and 19th best on the main slate if you're playing. Cleveland side number 16 in pass protection, Jets number 24. I expect Cleveland to have a decent amount of time to throw against the Jets here. And then pass DVOA, Cleveland's been really bad at number 32, but the Jets have also been really bad. Number 31, they just lost Sauce Gardner. As we heard earlier, I'd expect Cleveland to actually have some success here with some time to throw. I would expect them to actually be a little bit more successful in that pass game this week. Wouldn't be shocked to see somebody in the wide receiver room finally have a good game compared to the tight ends. I think this is one of those scenarios where we maybe see Jerry Jeudy or Isaiah Bond maybe have a good game here. Running game, Cleveland number 31 in run blocking, 29th in run DVOA. They have not been good in that department this season. The Jets number 12 and number 12 have been above average. Based on the paper matchup here, I would expect Cleveland not to be very good, but we've seen Quinshad Judkins actually be good in these scenarios, so he must be a very good, talented running back, which people thought coming out. He certainly looks that part, so if he's playing, I'd expect him to be able to have an okay game even in this environment, but pass game should be all right. Run game does not look that good. Jet side, number 31 in pass protection, Cleveland number 7 in the pass rush. I'd expect the Jets to be under a lot of duress, whether it's Tyrod Taylor in there or Justin Fields. Both of them probably not a good environment for them to be productive in avoiding sacks or turnovers. So Cleveland defense looks pretty good here. And then pass DVOA, Jets have been bad. Number 28, and then Cleveland number 14 in that pass DVOA has been pretty solid. So you can expect that to probably continue in this. Jets not going to be very good. Need to get the ball out quick. Probably leads to some targets to Breece Hall and their Mason Taylor. The Jets did trade for A.D. Mitchell, so I don't know if he's going to get any run in this, but I would not expect him to have a good game. And then the run game, Cleveland number 2 and number 1 in stopping those run categories. Jets middle of the pack at 19 and 16. I would not expect Breece Hall or any of the running backs to have a very successful matchup here. Jets in general look like they're going to be a dumpster fire on offense. Most likely going to be Mason Taylor and Breece Hall getting some of those passes and going from there. But really looking like a bad game. Cleveland offense kind of behind the ball in the run game. Pass game looks like it'll be viable. Jets don't look like they have any viable options. It's already counting 37.5 for a Vegas game total. Unless Cleveland's putting up some points or the defense is scoring some points, I don't see it hitting that over. All right, next early game here. Saints heading into Carolina. Carolina 5.5-point home favorites on a 40 Vegas game total. That game total is number 8 on the main slate. Carolina with a 22.75 team implied total is 9th best. Saints at 17.25 is 20th on the main slate, which could be the worst. Saints side, number 15 in offensive pass protection. Carolina 30th in the pass rush. I'd expect Tyler Shuck to have some time to throw in this matchup. And then that pass DVOA, Saints have been bad, number 26, but Carolina also not very good at number 22. With time to throw in this matchup, I'd actually expect the Saints to be somewhat effective passing the ball this week. Will be very interesting now that Rashid Shaheed is out. I think Olave could actually have a pretty big game here against Carolina. Maybe a sneaky dart throw, if you want to call it a dart throw in DFS, but he could have quite a few targets and see some success there. The other guy I think that takes a bump up is Juwan Johnson. And then the run game, Saints have been bad there too. Number 26 in run blocking, 31st in run DVOA. Carolina, red, 23rd in run stopping, and then number 18 in run DVOA. I kind of see this as more of a neutral game, but no real studs there in New Orleans. think the run game is going to be okay, if not a little bit below average, and then that pass game should be better than expected. They might put up some points in this against this Carolina defense. Carolina on offense, 19 in pass protection, Saints 20th. Pretty even there, standard day at the office. Pass DVOA for Carolina has been bad at 30, but Saints number 26 in that pass DVOA. Interesting one here. Carolina, maybe some time to throw. Should be relatively successful compared to how they have been operating. So pass game does look decent here for Bryce Young, but the run game here, Carolina number 6, Saints number 29 in stopping the run. Huge favor there of Carolina's offense. And then run DVOA, Carolina top 10, number 9, Saints above average at number 13, leading me to believe, hey, Carolina is going to be successful moving the ball forward each and every run. They should be gaining positive yards. And in terms of the explosion plays, maybe not as many of those, but they should be very good running the ball. They should be pretty solid passing the ball. I would say Carolina probably moving the ball, scoring some points. Saints may be able to run the ball a little bit more effective than they're used to. Pass game looks like it'll be all right. This 40-point Vegas game total, I think if there's no weather concerns, I think we could see this hit the over and surprise some people in terms of how many points get scored. And the next matchup here is a AFC North matchup. Buffalo heading into Miami on a 50-point Vegas game total that is number 1 on the main slate. So Buffalo 29.75 are 9.5-point road favorites. Is the number 1 team implied total on the main slate. Miami at 20.25 is number 14. Buffalo, 23 in offensive pass protection, been taking some sacks. Miami, though, number 25 in the pass rush. I expect Buffalo to have some time to throw on this one, which is good for Josh Allen and company. Pass DVOA-wise, number 7. Miami, number 30. Really looking good for the pass game here. Should have some time to throw. Should be very explosive. Could be one of those games with time to throw and being explosive where you see Keon Coleman get a little bit more involved. But really, Dalton Kincaid's been the one consistent player in terms of fantasy points. We do see Khalil Shakir get lots of targets and receptions, but he just doesn't do much because they're all underneath. So a lot of times you might see 8 receptions for 40 yards or something like that. Unless he scores, usually not getting a ton of fantasy points. So Kincaid, Coleman, and Shakir, I think, are the big winners there in terms of the pass game. Run game should be pretty effective. Buffalo number 2 in run blocking, number 1 in run DVOA. Miami right around average or slightly above at 14 on both of those categories. Expect James Cook to have a solid game as well. Miami side, number 16 in pass protection. Buffalo number 2 in the pass rush. Expect them to be able to get after the quarterback a little bit. Miami going to need some quicker throws to combat that. So probably see a few extra targets to the running backs and the tight ends there. Tight ends, they can have a big rotation, but should see Devon Achane with some decent target in this matchup. And then pass DVOA-wise, Miami number 25 in pass DVOA. On offense, Buffalo number 11. Would expect Miami to struggle in this department. Not a ton of time to throw, and the DVOA not looking good. Run game, Buffalo number 9 in stopping the run. Miami 28 in run blocking. Would expect a lot of at or behind the line of scrimmage. Tackles here for Devon Achane as he's running the ball. But run DVOA-wise, Buffalo number 30, Miami 20. It's going to be more of a volatile run game, so maybe getting hit behind the line of scrimmage a couple times and then ripping off a 12, 15-yard run, getting a 1-yard run and then ripping off an 8-yarder or something like that. I think that's really how Miami is going to operate this week. Buffalo does play really slow, so keep that in mind. This 50-point Vegas game total could get stuck in the mud, especially if Buffalo ends up running the ball. It does look like Buffalo offense should be very successful. This 30 points, I think, is within reach. And then Miami looks like they're going to struggle a little bit. I don't like the over on this. I think this is a good game to bet the under. Both teams play slow in neutral situations. Buffalo 32, Miami 26. Would think that this one probably doesn't quite reach 50. Buffalo right around that 28 to 30 point range. Miami may be struggling to hit 20 points in their matchup. Next early game matchup here is Jacksonville heading into Houston on a 38 Vegas game total. So very, very low here, even not the lowest one as we saw earlier at 37.5 on the main slate. So We do have Jacksonville now as the favorites on the road at 19.5 for their team implied total, 16th best on the main slate. Houston at 18.5 team implied total, 18th best on the main slate. This was in the favor of Houston by 2.5 points, and then when we had CJ Stroud out, we now see Jacksonville favored by 1. Keep an eye on that movement throughout the rest of the weekend. Pass protection for Jacksonville, 19. Pass DVOA, number 24. Houston pass rush, number 15, but number 1 in that pass DVOA. So probably a standard day at the office in terms of pass protection here for Trevor Lawrence, but not going to be very explosive with that pass DVOA. Houston's pass defense has been very good this year, and it looks like that's probably going to continue against Jacksonville, who's been struggling this season. Offensive run blocking, though, Jacksonville number 5 and number 7 in run DVOA. Houston middle of the pack at 18 and 16. If Jacksonville wants to move the ball, they're going to have to do it on the ground with, standard day at the office in terms of time to throw. This looks like a Cameron Little game or a Cam Little game for Jacksonville. I would say they're probably going to move into scoring position several times this game, but not get any touchdowns. Based off of what I'm seeing here, that run game should be successful, but that pass game really kind of slogging it down, not able to get anywhere if they're kind of behind the chains or if they take a sack or something. I would say looking at 3 or 4 field goal attempts here for Cam Little. Saw him set an NFL record 68-yarder last week. So if you're in a league where you get 0.1 points per field goal, which I would suggest doing, it's a lot more interesting for the kickers rather than the 3, 4, 5, or 6 that people might be doing. Giving a 0.1 per yard is very good. So you kick a 48-yarder, it's 4.8 points. I like that. But looking like Cam Little should have a pretty good week there. And then the run game for Jacksonville as well. Houston side number 14 in offensive pass protection. Jacksonville 31 in that pass rush. So they play a pretty, I don't know if you want to call it vanilla defense, but don't pressure a lot. They just kind of play their defense, run 4 in there and hope for the best and kind of get their linebackers and defensive backs to play good, sound football, and that's why we see that there. But really looking like Houston should have some time. Good for Davis Mills. Pass DVOA even up. Houston 19, Jacksonville 20. In a scenario like this with time to throw and an even up matchup in that DVOA category, I'd say studs eat. Nico Collins may have a very good game here against Jacksonville, especially when we look at the run game. Houston's been bad on offense, 24 and 30. Jacksonville's been pretty good, 11 and 7. I expect that run game to struggle mightily. They're going to need to go through the pass game to be successful. Davis Mills may actually have a pretty decent game here, and I'd expect Nico Collins to be the biggest beneficiary of these matchups. 38 Vegas game total sounds about right. Jacksonville going to struggle, probably putting up field goals. Houston going to struggle on the run game, but the pass game decent. I expect something like a 15-12 game here with a bunch of field goals kicked. But yeah, 38 might seem a little high based off of what I'm seeing here, unless somebody rips off a big gainer from Nico Collins or Travis Etienne in the run game. I don't see a ton of points getting scored here outside of some field goals. Alrighty, next early game is the battle of the purple teams, purple and gold. Baltimore heading into Minnesota on a 48.5 Vegas game total. Baltimore actually 4-point road favorites here heading into Minnesota. Gives them a 26.25 team implied total, 4th best on the main slate. Minnesota at 22.25 is the 11th best on the main slate. Again, Baltimore 4-point road favorites. Pass protection, Baltimore number 26, taking some sacks. Minnesota number 3, defensive pass rush. They have been generating some sacks. I'd expect that to continue in a matchup like this. We have seen Lamar take some sacks, and that does look like the case this week. But pass DVOA, Baltimore number 11, Minnesota 19. Despite not having some time to throw, I do believe they should be fairly explosive against this Minnesota defense. I'd expect maybe more of the underneath target variety to get highlighted in this. So you'd be looking more at Zay Flowers and perhaps Mark Andrews getting some underneath stuff. Some of those deeper targets or middle targets probably not going to be available this game. Run game, Baltimore number 21 and 15, Minnesota number 7 and number 9, so they're in the red. This is a pretty decent favor for the Minnesota defense here. I wouldn't expect Henry to have a huge game here, but with them being 4-point road favorites, Baltimore can get up and certainly lean on that. It just doesn't look like it's going to be very efficient this week. Minnesota side, number 32 in pass protection. Baltimore, number 27 in that pass rush. I'd expect plenty of time for J.J. McCarthy to throw in this matchup, which is good. It does seem like maybe the game's a little fast for him at the moment, but we've certainly seen him have some success against some pretty solid defenses. Limited success, I guess, if you want to call it that. So Detroit, pretty solid on defense. Bears, hit or miss kind of depending on which route that you're going, but the pass defense is okay. And then really see Atlanta's defense that he played in week 2 is really good. So kind of interesting here. We'll see. Baltimore not very good in a pass rush sense in terms of getting sacks. So could have some time to throw. Pass DVOA, Baltimore 21, Minnesota 27. Maybe Minnesota's a little bit more effective in that pass game against this Baltimore defense. Then the run blocking, Baltimore 26 and 21 on defense. Minnesota 11 and 18 in the run DVOA. I would expect them to be gaining some positive yardage in that run game. Maybe not being super explosive, but getting some really good, positive gains when they do run the ball. Pass game being a little bit more effective. Baltimore side needing to get the ball out a little bit quicker, but being somewhat effective in that pass game. The run game being a little bit more, kind of hit or miss there, more of a miss. I'm actually going to go ahead and hit the upset alert here. I think Minnesota at home, based off of what I see here on paper, I think they can keep this close and pull out a narrow victory here, covering that 4-point line with ease against Baltimore here. But we'll see. Lamar Jackson does change the equation up here, though I know the pass protection issues were there when he was present anyway before that. All right, next game on the early slate, we have New England heading into Tampa Bay on a 48.5 Vegas game total. That's tied for number 4 on the main slate. Got some high game totals again this week. We do have Tampa Bay as 2.5-point home favorites here over New England. That gives them a 25.5 team implied total, 7th best on the main slate. New England at 23 is the 8th best on the main slate. Pass protection-wise for New England, number 29, taking lots of sacks there for Drake May. Tampa Bay actually pretty good at generating some sacks, so number 5, I'd expect New England be under a little pressure here. We've seen this in the past. In these scenarios, we do see Drake May actually scramble quite a bit and get some rushing yards, so I'd expect that to continue against this Tampa Bay defense. And then pass DVOA, Tampa Bay number 7 there on defense, New England number 3. Really not looking good here, but we've seen Drake May in these environments already be successful this year, so maybe that continues here against Tampa Bay, but really on paper looking like he's going to need to get the ball out a little bit quicker, and they won't be super explosive in that pass game against Tampa Bay here. Run blocking looks really bad. New England number 14, Tampa Bay number 1 in run stopping. They've been really good in that department for a few years here with Vita Vea there. Run DVOA 27 for New England, number 5 for Tampa Bay. I'd expect that run game to be pretty poor. Wouldn't be shocked to see Drake May as the leading rusher here for New England this week, as he is scrambling and getting out of the pocket while under pressure in this. Does not look very good for the New England squad in terms of putting up points here. If they're going to be moving the ball, it will be through the air. Tampa Bay side, number 8 in pass protection. Patriots, middle of the pack at 16. And then pass DVOA, Tampa Bay, middle of the pack at 15. New England, though, 28 in the pass DVOA. Should have some time to throw in Tampa Bay. Should be very, very effective when they do throw the ball. It looks like a plus matchup here for Baker Mayfield and company. So good there. And Emeka Egbuka probably going to have a pretty solid week this week. Run game, New England been very good on defense. Number 3 and number 4. Tampa Bay has been pretty poor. Number 12 in run blocking, number 28 in run DVOA. So it sounds like Bucky Irving has not been practicing yet this week. So probably going to see the Rachaad White show. Would expect him to be pretty ineffective running the ball in this matchup. Tampa Bay probably going to lean pretty heavily on that pass game. Would not be shocked to see them, with 300 plus yards and multiple touchdowns here against this New England team through the air, while their run game kind of struggles a little bit. So interesting one here. I do see Tampa Bay having the better of the couple of matchups here. New England probably going to struggle a little bit, and probably not interested in anyone on the New England team unless their name is Drake May. Another early game matchup here. New York Giants heading into Chicago. This is a 48-point Vegas game total, so pretty high here yet, but the sixth best on the main slate. Chicago 4.5-point home favorites gives them a 26.25 team implied total, fourth best on the main slate. The Giants at 21.75 is the 12th best on the main slate. Offensive pass protection, Giants 24th, Chicago 16 in that pass rush. Slight favor here for Chicago. I'd expect them to be able to generate a little bit of pressure here against Jackson Dart. Pass DVOA, Giants 23rd though. Chicago 27th in that pass DVOA. Not very good in that regard. Expect Jackson Dart, maybe a little bit of pressure there, but able to move the ball somewhat effectively against the Chicago Bears defense. Then the run blocking, Chicago's been really bad. They're both red. They're 25 and 25 in the run stopping and run DVOA categories. Giants number 22 and 19 in the run category. So slight favor of the offense here. I would expect Devin Singletary actually did get quite a bit of the work last week, which is interesting over Tyrone Tracy. Tyrone Tracy more of the pass catching back. We'll see if that continues here against Chicago, but I'd expect that run game to be fairly effective. The pass game looks like it'll be okay too, just needing a little bit quicker throws, which might be more of a Theo Johnson type week and Wan'Dale Robinson, so keep that in mind. Chicago side, number 9 in pass protection, Giants number 14. Pretty even there, a slight favor of Chicago in terms of maybe not taking sacks. Pass DVOA, slight favor of Chicago as well, 14 in DVOA for passing. Giants number 18 on offense. Nothing too crazy here. Average to above average game for Chicago pass game. Run game looks very effective though. Chicago number 3 in run blocking, number 8 in run DVOA. Giants 28th in stopping the run, 32nd in run DVOA. Who's over the running back for Chicago, I'd expect them to be very good. They could be splitting carries. We did see DeAndre Swift out last week, and in his stead, Kyle Monangai had a very good game, 170 some odd yards total. I'd expect both of them probably to be involved in this and be very, very effective against this Giants team. So will be an interesting one. Both teams do play pretty fast. 8th in neutral situation for the Giants, 7th for Chicago. Could see them putting up some points. Giants doesn't look too bad, more of an even to slightly above average matchup for them, and then Chicago above average to average in that pass game, and an elite matchup in the run game. So should be putting up some points here. Will be interesting, and I'd expect this maybe to hit the over on that 48 Vegas game total. Does sound like it's going to be windy, so if that's the case, I'd expect Chicago to lean even more in that run game. All right, getting into the late slate now. We have Arizona heading into Seattle for a NFC West matchup. It's a 45.5 Vegas game total. 7th best on the main slate. We do have Seattle as 6.5-point home favorites, giving them a 26-point team implied total. 6th best on the main slate. Arizona at 19.5 is 16th best on the main slate. Pass protection-wise, Arizona 28th. Been taking a lot of sacks, and then Seattle 7th in the pass rush. Been generating a lot of sacks. I'd expect that to probably continue, and expect Jacoby Brissett to be under a little bit of pressure here. Pass DVOA, Seattle number 4 on defense, Arizona 22nd in pass DVOA on offense. Really looking like it's going to be a struggle game here for Jacoby Brissett in his start, or the first start of Kyler Murray's IR stint here. Not looking good for him. Run game perhaps even worse. 29 in run blocking for Arizona. Seattle number 4. Offensive run DVOA 25th. Seattle 2nd on defense. On paper, really looking like Arizona is going to struggle to score points. 19.5 seems a little high based off of what I see here in the adjusted line play report. I would bet the under on that, but we've seen Arizona be a little bit more successful with Jacoby Brissett. Actually took the Colts pretty deep into the game, and they're a pretty solid team, so watch out for that. Seattle side should be very effective, at least with time to pass. So number 3 in pass protection, not taking a lot of sacks. Arizona 22nd. I'd expect Sam Darnold not to get sacked very often in this game and probably have some time to throw. Pass DVOA, though, Seattle number 1 in that category, but Arizona number 9 in the pass DVOA. So Seattle should be effective with time to throw, but maybe not as explosive as they've been throughout the season. Then the run game, Seattle's been poor, 25th and 24th in that run game, but Arizona at 24th and 20th, equally as bad as Seattle so far this season. So I'd expect Seattle to put up some points here. Time to throw, run game should be pretty effective against Arizona. I do like Seattle being able to cover the 6.5 point line at home, but yeah, really looking like a Seattle victory here. Nothing too crazy, no elite matchups outside of maybe Seattle's defense being a pretty solid option this week. All right, next late game is Detroit heading into Washington. We do have a 49.5 point Vegas game total on this one. Second highest on the main slate. We do have Detroit as 8-point road favorites, so a couple of road favorites this week really high up there, and Detroit is one of them. Detroit at 28.75 for their team implied total is second best on the main slate. Washington down at 20.75 is 13th on the main slate. Getting into the Detroit side, they're 18th in pass protection, Washington number 10. So I'd expect them to be able to generate some pressure here against Detroit. Probably need to get the ball out a little bit sooner. Typically when that's been the case, we have seen Amon-Ra St. Brown be the preferred target. Maybe getting the tight end involved and Jahmyr Gibbs involved in the pass game, or the running backs involved in the pass game as well. So that's always an option. Pass DVOA wise, Detroit should be very explosive. Number 10 in pass DVOA, that's in the green. Washington at 24th, and their pass DVOA is in the red. So while they do need to get the ball out quick, they should be very effective when they do pass the ball. Run blocking wise, Detroit 18th, Washington number 10. Maybe a few at or behind the line of scrimmage extra runs this week for Detroit. Run DVOA, though, number 12 and number 15. So that's pretty even up. We say studs eat in those scenarios. Might be one where Jahmyr Gibbs has the good game, and we see David Montgomery not as effective as Gibbs in this environment. Washington side, 27th in pass protection. Detroit, number 4. Probably going to be under a lot of pressure for Mariota, needing to get the ball out quick. Probably going to be more of a Zach Ertz running back and Deebo Samuel type week here for the pass game. Pass DVOA, Detroit number 2, Washington 20th. Not looking good for the pass game. Mariota probably not going to be very good here, but needing to pass in a scenario where Detroit looks like they should put up some points. Run game, Washington number 16, Detroit 27th in stopping the run. When they do hand the ball off, I'd expect them to gain positive yardage, but run DVOA, Detroit 8, Washington number 13. Wouldn't expect Washington to be super explosive in the run game, but gaining positive yardage. It does look like the better of the two matchups for Washington, so expect them to lean on that run game a little bit, depending on what's going on the opposite side of the ball for points being scored. But do believe Detroit pulls this out, and Washington struggles a little bit with the pass game there. So final late slate game here, another AFC West matchup. The Rams heading into San Francisco on a 49.5 Vegas game total, tied for number 2 on the main slate. Los Angeles Rams, 27-point team implied total is the 3rd best on the main slate. San Francisco at 22.5 is the 10th best, so that gives the Rams the 4.5 point road favorite here. Pass protection wise, Rams 9, not taking a lot of sacks. San Francisco 29th, not generating a lot of sacks. Expect some time to throw here for Matt Stafford. Pass DVOA, Rams number 2, San Francisco 25. Another red-green matchup, even better. So Rams should be very explosive in the pass game. Plenty of time to throw. Should be very explosive. Puka Nacua and Adams should be very good here. Run game a little bit better for San Francisco's defense, but still middle of the pack to below average. They're 16th and 22 in those run categories, while the Rams are 1st and 3rd. Heavily in the favor here of Los Angeles Rams. I expect them to be able to move the ball very effectively here against San Francisco's defense and score a lot of points, which the Vegas is saying 27 for their team implied total is the 3rd best on the main slate. Looking like a good call out. San Francisco side, number 7 in pass protection. Rams, number 11 in the pass rush. Pretty even there. Standard day at the office, perhaps. San Francisco, number 8 in pass DVOA. Rams, number 3. Again, standard day at the office. San Francisco probably not going to be as explosive or as effective passing the ball as they've been so far this season against the Rams here. Then the run game, San Francisco 17 in run blocking. This has really improved since Kittle's gotten back. Rams at 13, slight favor here for the defense, but pretty even. And then run DVOA, Rams number 6, San Francisco 23. That is a green-red matchup in the favor of the defense. While they may gain some positive yardage, that run DVOA doesn't look very good. I wouldn't expect McCaffrey to be super explosive in that run game. San Francisco probably a little bit more effective throwing the ball here against the Rams, but would expect the Rams to go into San Francisco and pull this one out. Offense should be very explosive. San Francisco probably struggles a little bit. San Francisco kicker looks like a very good option this week as well against the Rams. Whether or not they're going to kick field goals if they're down a bunch, we'll see. All right, Sunday Night Football here. Pittsburgh heading into Los Angeles on a 45.5 Vegas game total. Los Angeles as 2.5-point home favorites gives them a 24-point team implied total. Pittsburgh at 21.5. Pittsburgh 12 in offensive pass protection. Chargers 12th in the pass rush. Pittsburgh 17th in pass DVOA. Chargers number 12 in pass DVOA. So pretty even matchup here. Nothing too crazy. In those environments, I say, hey, studs eat. Probably going to just be tight end show and some DK Metcalf there in the pass game, as it always has been, with a few dump offs there to the running backs. Run blocking pretty even. Pittsburgh 13, Chargers number 15, but the run DVOA, Pittsburgh number 5, Chargers number 27. So that's the best of the matchups there for Pittsburgh. I'd expect the run game to be pretty explosive. So could be a good day at the office for the Pittsburgh run game. And Jaylen Warren, he does look like the best option here for Pittsburgh. Charger side 21st in pass protection, Pittsburgh 13 in that pass rush. I'd expect them to need to get the ball out a little bit quicker. Probably taking some sacks there. Pass DVOA wise, Chargers number 12, Pittsburgh 10 on defense. Pretty even there. Studs eat. They do have Lad McConkey there in Charger territory. It looks more like a game for him. Getting the ball out a little bit quicker. Could see a Rondé Gadsden as well get more involved if he's running some underneath routes. Run blocking wise, Chargers 20th, Pittsburgh 22nd in stopping the run. Pretty even there. Chargers 17 in run DVOA, Pittsburgh 23, slight favor of the offense. Really looks like an even up matchup mostly across the board for both offenses here, except for Pittsburgh's run game looks pretty effective. Should be an interesting game here. I don't think there's going to be a ton of offensive points, but if you're playing island game matchup, probably looking at Herbert to do a lot of the heavy lifting here against Pittsburgh, and then Pittsburgh run game looks pretty effective in maybe getting a couple of those Pittsburgh pass catchers as Aaron Rodgers spreads it around. But hope your tight end or whoever gets into the end zone for Pittsburgh there. Boswell always an option. Pittsburgh does kick quite a bit of field goals, but I see them probably being able to move the ball and score some touchdowns in this matchup, actually. So, and then last game here, Monday Night Football, Philadelphia heading into Green Bay. Could be NFC type championship matchup here to get into the Super Bowl. So interesting one here. We do have a 44.5 Vegas game total on here. Green Bay 2.5-point home favorites. 23.5 team implied total for Green Bay. 21 for Philly. Philly side 25th in pass protection. Green Bay 18 in that pass rush. Slight favor of the defense, but nothing too crazy here. Going to be more of the same, I guess, in that regard. But pass DVOA even up. Philadelphia 9, Green Bay number 8. Studs eat in those scenarios. I think Philadelphia's got two really good pass catchers in A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. I know there's some weird stuff going on with A.J. Brown, but looks like it could be an okay game for them. Needing to get the ball out a little bit quick probably favors A.J. Brown more than Devonta Smith, just as a heads up. Philadelphia run blocking 30th, Green Bay number 8 in stopping the run. I'd expect Barkley to get hit at or behind the line of scrimmage frequently. But then that run DVOA even up 14-17. Usually in those scenarios they say studs eat. Barkley pretty good there. So he might have a very volatile game where he's getting stuffed a bunch and then he rips off a huge run once or twice in this matchup to get his rushing total up to 70. But 55 of those 70 yards came on 2 runs, and the other 13 attempts netted him 20 yards at most. So Be an interesting one there. Green Bay side, third in pass protection. Philadelphia 20th in that pass rush. Should have plenty of time to throw here for Green Bay. And then pass DVOA number 4 for Green Bay, middle of the pack for Philly at 16. Pass game, time to throw, should be relatively explosive here against Philadelphia. Green Bay does like to spread the ball around in the air, so watch out for that. We do have Tucker Kraft hurt, so that could affect their game plan in this matchup. Run game wise, Green Bay number 9. Philly, for some reason, really bad this year. Number 30 in stopping the run. Number 26 in run DVOA. As I mentioned, Green Bay 9 in run blocking. Number 11 in run DVOA. Does look like Green Bay's offense should be very effective here. I think Green Bay at home against this Philadelphia team easily covers this 2.5 point line. Does look like Philly's going to struggle to an extent, a little bit behind the ball in terms of getting pressure, passing it, even matchup, run game, super volatile, not looking super great there. And then the Green Bay side looks very, very good. I'd expect Green Bay to be able to cover this 2.5 point Vegas line. Would be fine betting that. And in terms of island game matchups, I'm probably grabbing 4 or 5 Green Bay players and then 1 or 2 from the Philadelphia side, because Philadelphia players are going to be expensive, but it's probably how I would roll. And good luck to you all out there. That's going to do it for the show. Again, trying to get through this quick so I can get my weekend festivities kicked off here. So hopefully you took a little information from this and can make better start-sit decisions this week on this environment. Have a good one. Let's go out there and win some money together, folks. Peace.